Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ve bihi nesta'in. Elhamdülillahi Rabbil alemin. Vessalatu vesselamu ala seyyidina Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve sahbihi ecma'in.
In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate, and from Him do we seek help. All praise be to Allah, the Sustainer of all the worlds, and blessings and peace be upon our Master Muhammad, and on all his family and companions. The 16th word.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. İnnemâ emruhu izâ erâde şey'en en yekûle lehu kun feyekûn. Fesubhanellezî biyedihi melekûtu kulli şey'in ve ileyhi turca'ûn.
In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. Indeed, His command when He wills a thing is, Be, and it is. So glory be unto Him, in whose hand is the dominion of all things, and to Him will you all be brought back. This word was written to afford insight and understanding to my blind soul by pointing out 4 rays from the light of the above verse, to dispel the darkness and afford me certainty. First ray. O my ignorant soul, you say the oneness of the divine essence together with the universality of the divine acts, the unity of Almighty Allah's person together with His unassisted, comprehensive dominicality, His singleness together with His unshared, all-embracing disposal, His being beyond space and yet present everywhere, His infinite exaltedness together with being close to all things, and His being one and yet Himself holding all matters in His hand, are among the truths of the Quran. Yet the Quran is all-wise, and that which is wise does not impose on the reason things which are unreasonable. And the reason sees an apparent contradiction between these things. I would like an explanation of them which will impel the reason to submit. The answer. Since that is the way it is, and you want to be certain and reassured, relying on the effulgence of the Quran, we say, the divine name of light has solved many of my difficulties. Allah willing, it will solve this one too. Choosing the way of comparison, which brings clarity to the mind and luminosity to the heart, like Imam-i Rabbani, we say, I am neither the night nor a lover of the night. I am a servant of the sun. It is of the sun that I speak. Since comparison is a most brilliant mirror to the Quran's miraculousness, we too shall look at this mystery by means of a comparison. It is as follows. A single person may gain universality by means of various mirrors. While being a single individual, he becomes like a universal, possessing general qualities. For example, while the sun is a single individual, by means of transparent objects, it becomes so universal it fills the face of the earth with its images and reflections. It even has as many manifestations as the number of droplets and shining motes. Although the sun's heat, light, and the 7 colours in its light comprehend, encompass, and embrace all the things which confront them, all transparent things also hold in the pupils of their eyes the sun's heat, and its light and 7 colours, together with its image. And they make a throne for them in their hearts. That is to say, with regard to unity, the sun encompasses all the things which confront it, while with regard to oneness, the sun is present together with many of its attributes in everything through a sort of manifestation of its essence. Since we have passed from the comparison to a discussion of representation, we shall indicate 3 of the many sorts of representation which will be the means to understanding this matter. The first. This is the reflection of dense physical objects. These reflections are both other than the thing reflected. They are not the same, and they are dead without life. They possess no quality other than their apparent identity. For example, if you enter a store full of mirrors, one Sayyid will become thousands of Sayyids, but the only living one is you. All the others are dead. They possess none of the characteristics of life. The second, this is the reflection of physical luminous objects. This reflection is not the same as the thing reflected, but neither is it other than it. It does not hold the luminous object's nature, but it possesses most of its characteristics, and may be considered as living. For example, the sun entered the world and displayed its reflection in all mirrors. Present in each of the reflections are light and the 7 colours in light, which are like the sun's qualities. Let us suppose the sun possessed consciousness, and its heat was pure power, its light pure knowledge, and its 7 colours, the 7 attributes. The single sun would be present in all mirrors at one moment, and would be able to make each a throne for itself and a sort of telephone. One mirror would not be an obstacle to another. It would be able to meet with all of us by means of our mirrors. While we are distant from it, it would be closer to us than ourselves. The third, this is the reflection of luminous spirits. This reflection is both living and the same as the spirits, but since it appears in relation to the capacity of the mirrors, it does not hold completely the spirit's essence and nature. For example, at the moment the angel Gabriel, peace be upon him, is in the presence of the Prophet in the form of Dihya. He is prostrating with his magnificent wings in the divine presence before the sublime throne. And at the same moment he is present in innumerable places and is relaying the divine commands. One task is not an obstacle to another. Thus it is through this mystery that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, whose essence is light and nature, luminous, in this world hears at the same time all the benedictions recited for him by all of his community, and at the resurrection will meet with all the purified at the same time. One will not be an obstacle to another. In fact, some of the saints who have acquired a high degree of luminosity and are called substitutes, Abdal, have been observed in many places at the same time, and the same person has performed numerous different acts at the same time. Indeed, just as things like glass and water act as mirrors to physical objects, so the air and ether and certain beings of the world of similitudes are like mirrors to spirit beings. They become like means of transport and conveyance with the speed of lightning and imagination. The spirit beings travel in those pure mirrors and subtle dwellings with the speed of imagination. They enter thousands of places at the same time, despite being restricted particulars. Through the mystery of luminosity, impotent and subjugated creatures like the sun, and semi-luminous beings restricted by matter like spirit beings, may be present in numerous places while being in one place, thus becoming like absolute universals, and with a limited power of choice being able to perform many matters simultaneously. Thus, what thing may hide itself from a dress of oneness, which is within the manifestation of the attributes and acts of the most pure and holy one, through his universal will, absolute power, and all-encompassing knowledge? The most holy one, who is far beyond and exalted above matter, free and exempt from any restriction or limitation, and the darkness of density, of the sacred lights of whose names all these lights and luminous beings are but dense shadows, and of whose beauty all existence, and all life, and the world of spirits, and the world of similitudes are semi-transparent mirrors, whose attributes are all-encompassing, and whose qualities universal. What matter could be difficult for him? What thing can be concealed from him? What individual can be distant from him? What person can draw close to him without acquiring universality? Although by means of its unrestricted light and immaterial reflection, the sun is closer to you than the pupil of your eye, since you are restricted, you are truly distant from it. In order to draw close to it, you have to transcend numerous restrictions and pass over many universal degrees. Simply, in effect, you have to expand to the size of the earth and rise as far as the moon. Then you may be able to approach directly, to a degree, the sun's essential level, and meet with it without fail. In just the same way, the glorious one of beauty and beauteous one of perfection is infinitely close to you, and you are infinitely distant from him. If your heart has strength, and your mind eminence, try to put the points in the comparison into practice. Second ray. O my senseless soul, you say that verses like
إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون.
Indeed, his command when he wills a thing is be, and it is. And it will be no more than a single blast when, lo, they will all be brought up before us. Show that the existence of things is instantaneous and merely through a command, and that verses like
Sun Allahi lezi etkana kulla shay ahsana kulla shayin khalaqah.
Such is the artistry of Allah, who disposes of all things in perfect order, and who has created everything in the best way. Show that the existence of things is gradual through a vast power within knowledge and a fine art within wisdom. What is the point of agreement between them? The answer. Relying on the effulgence of the Quran, we say, firstly, there is no contradiction. Some are like the former, like primary creation, and some are like the latter, like the repetition of creation. Secondly, the infinite order and extreme skill, fine art, and perfect creation, together with the ease, speed, multiplicity, and extensiveness, which are observed in beings, testify decisively to the existence of the truth of these two sorts of verses. Since this is so, proving it to be true outside this, and making that the point of discussion, is unnecessary. It should rather be asked, what is the wisdom in them? What is their meaning and purpose? Thus, we shall point it to this wisdom with an analogy in the form of comparison. For example, a craftsman, like a tailor, creates something artistic with much difficulty and employing many skills, and makes a model for it. Then he can make others similar to it quickly and without difficulty. Sometimes even it becomes so easy they are as though they are made at a command, and they acquire a powerful order in that way. Like a clock, they function and work as though at the touch of a command. In just the same way, after making this palace of the world and all its contents originally, the all-wise Maker and all-knowing Inscriber gave everything, particular and universal, the whole and the parts, a specified measure and proportion through an ordering of divine determining, like a model. So look, making every century a model, the pre-eternal Inscriber clothes them with bejeweled new worlds through the miracles of his power, and making every year a scale. He so skillfully fashioned new universes through the wonders of his mercy, according to their stature, and making every day a line, he writes the decorated, constantly renewed beings in them, through the subtleties of his wisdom. Furthermore, just as that absolutely powerful one makes each century, each year, and each day a model, so he makes the face of the earth, and the mountains and plains, gardens and orchards, and trees each a model. He continuously sets up new universes on the earth and creates new worlds. He removes one world and replaces it with another, well-ordered world. Season after season, he displays the miracles of his power and gifts of his mercy in all the gardens and orchards. He writes them all as wisdom-displaying books, establishes them as kitchens of his mercy, and clothes them in ever-renewed garments full of art. Every spring, he arrays all trees in raiments of brocade and adorns them with fresh jewels like pearls. He fills their hands with the star-like gifts of his mercy. Thus, the one who performs these matters with infinitely fine art and perfect order, and changes with infinite wisdom, bounty and perfection of power and art, the travelling worlds which follow on one after the other, and are attached to the string of time, is certainly all-powerful and all-wise. He is all-seeing and all-knowing to an infinite degree. Chance cannot interfere in his works. He is the all-glorious one who decrees.
إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون وما أمر الساعة إلا كلمح البصر أو هو أقرب.
Indeed, his command when he wills a thing is be, and it is, and the decision of the hour is as the twinkling of an eye, or even closer. And both proclaim the perfection of his power, and that in relation to his power the resurrection and great gathering are most easy and free of trouble. Since his creational command comprises power and will, and all things are entirely subjugated and obedient to his command, and he creates with no difficulty or hindrance, in order to express the absolute ease in his creating. The Quran of Miraculous Exposition decrees that he does this through a mere command. To conclude, some verses proclaim the extremely fine art and infinite perfection of wisdom in beings, especially at the start of their creation, while others describe the extreme ease and speed and infinite obedience and lack of difficulty in the recreation and return of things in particular.
سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم.
Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save that which you have taught us. Indeed, you are all-knowing, all-wise.